This EB-1B I-485 case stands out because the approval came very quickly after the I-485J update. The original poster reported an EB-1B NRAU case with a priority date of June 2018 and an I-485 filing date of November 21, 2025. Biometrics notice arrived on December 6th, with the appointment following shortly after on December 23rd. On February 4th, the case was transferred to the Queen's Field Office, a non-local office for the applicant. The I-485J was approved on March 10th, followed by the I-485 approval on March 11th. The derivative spouse was approved an hour later. That is the core story here, and it matters because it shows how fast movement can happen once the file starts changing at the field office stage. Here is the confirmed snapshot. This was an EB-1B adjustment of status case with a prior approved EB-2 perm-based I-140. After filing on November 23rd, biometrics were scheduled and completed in December. The case later transferred to Queen's FO on February 4th, followed by several silent API updates throughout February. The I-485J was approved on March 10th, and the I-485 itself was approved on March 11th. Walking through the timeline in order, the poster first says the case was EB-1B NRAU, with a priority date in June 2018. They already had an approved EB-2 perm-based I-140. The I-485 was then filed on November 21, 2025. Then came the biometrics notice on December 6th, followed by the appointment on December 23rd. The poster also noted 2 FTAO events on December 23rd, right around the biometrics appointment. After that, the case was transferred to Queen's Field Office, listed as non-local, on February 4th. What happened next is where the case becomes especially interesting. The poster reported silent API updates throughout February. These updates occurred on February 4th, February 12th, and February 18th. Then on March 10th, the I-485J was approved, with a third FTAO and multiple silent updates in the account activity. Roughly 24 hours and 15 minutes later, the I-485 was approved on March 11th, with the case code H008. The derivative spouse was approved about an hour after that, completing the family's adjustment. What stands out is the sequencing. In many cases, people watch for a long stretch of silence after biometrics or transfer. But here, the file moved through several quiet account changes before the formal supporting form approval and the final green card approval. The speed between I-485J approval and I-485 approval is the sharpest part of the timeline. For viewers tracking their own cases, that kind of sequence can be a sign that the file is actively moving even when the status page looks calm. The other notable point is the transfer to Queen's FO, marked as non-local. Transfers can create uncertainty for many applicants. Applicants don't always know whether the case is being reviewed, queued, or simply moved for workload balancing. In this case, the transfer was followed by account activity and approval, though internal FO review details remain private. The useful interpretation is that the approval followed a visible chain of events: filing, biometrics, transfer, silent updates, and finally approval. That sequence is often what applicants hope to see, even if the exact meaning of each update isn't always clear. What this case may mean for similar applicants is fairly limited but still useful as a data point. If you see a transfer plus quiet API changes, this case suggests that silence does not necessarily mean inactivity. It may also suggest that an I-485J approval can be a meaningful milestone right before final approval in some cases, but this is only one data point. It doesn't mean every transferred case will move quickly, or that the transfer itself caused the approval. The practical takeaway is simple. Track every milestone carefully, and keep copies of all your notices and receipts. Do not assume a quiet status page means the case stopped moving. Background work is often invisible. Also, do not compare your case to this one too aggressively. Every case history and established file is unique. Remember, the poster had an already approved I-140 history, which might have influenced the speed of this I-485. What we still do not know from this thread includes the exact filing method or if medicals were filed concurrently. We also don't know if there was an interview waiver or what prompted the specific Queen's FO transfer. The thread also doesn't confirm the full reason for the third FTAO or what each silent API update specifically meant internally. So the clean takeaway is this: an EB-1B I-485 case moved from filing to approval in a very fast finish after the final supporting update. If this helped you benchmark your own timeline, subscribe for more real case breakdowns. Comment your own update if you want your timeline compared against this one. Thanks for watching.